pow, insta, 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 insta. You ever have a song stuck in your head and you just cannot get the damn song out of your head? That's like tonight. It's got this like, I know it's like a cross between bad 70s porn and, you know, club techno music, even though I don't really watch porn because I'm not lame and I can get laid, and I don't really listen to club music much because I don't really go to clubs or anything like that. But like for some reason it's like this mixture is in my head and it's like driving me crazy. And hey, there's a knife on the table. Let's talk about that instead of whatever the hell's in my head, because we all know I'm a little crazy, but you didn't need to know that. Okay. Oh, I need to clean my nails. Alrighty, so we are talking about the Spyderco Resilience, which I'm going to make it a point in this review to emphasize this concept. This is a knife that I really think is a comparable replacement for the Spyderco Military. So for those of us on a budget, like me, and probably you, $160 for the Spyderco Military on the cheap end, or 150 something on the cheap end for one. That's a lot of money to shell out for one knife. This is a knife that is extremely comparable. At the end, I will roll in a comparison stats of this knife and the Military. I'll just put up one slide at the end for you to see. I'm not gonna sit there and try to compare, you know, bink, bink, bink. It's too much. But let's kind of just go down the stats on this guy, and then we'll roll in some stuff at the end with it. So overall length from tip to tip is 9.375 inches. We've got a blade length of 4 1/4 inches, a handle of 5 1/4 inches, which makes up that 4 1/4 and 5 1/4. That doesn't make 9 3/4. Wow, Spyderco's website is a wee bit off. Let's get out the old measuring stick here and get you a little bit better measurement, because that I took right off the Spyderco website, and it apparently is wrong, because 4 1/4 and 5 1/4 make like 9 1/2 in my book. So let's do a little measuring here. All right, so let's measure the blade. So we're looking at, well, it is 4 1/4. Measure the handle, and the handle is 5 1/4. So Spyderco's website's a wee bit wrong. The actual overall length is 9 1/2 inches, not 9.375 inches, which is what the website says. So we have 9 1/2 inches from tip to tip, with a 4 1/4 inch and a 5 1/4 inch handle. So Spyderco, update your website. Get on the ball. Alright, as usual, we do have the 13mm spider hole, or 1/2 inch or whatever. We do have a 3mm blade stock, just like on the entire line. As for deployment, this is a big blade. You're going to have to get used to that extra weight on the deployment there. It did take me a few minutes playing with this thing to get used to, you know, flipping this bad boy out as opposed to flipping that bad boy out. You can hear the difference. And this is the same amount of force with my thumb. You hear the difference on the deployment. You know, it's a little bit easier to deploy a smaller blade than it is to deploy a 4 1/4 inch blade, because you got a lot of weight that you got to get out there with the same thumb flick. But I think it's a fantastic knife for what you're getting. I mean, when we talk about use, I mean, this is a tactical knife. There's just really no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is a tactical blade. I mean, I don't know too many other uses for a 4 1/4 inch knife. I mean, you whip this thing out, you're definitely gonna scare some liberals. I'm all for scaring the liberals, but this is what'll do it. So again, it does have the, I believe it's Chris Reeve LinerLock. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me. It's a LinerLock. It does lock up like a bank vault. I mean, there's just no up and down, side to side play on that. I mean, I'm moving I'm bending the knife doing that. I mean, it doesn't move. I've thumped on this one relatively well, as you can see. There's fantastic smudge marks from my fingers and me doing stuff with it. As for the handle, it is G10, just like the rest of the line. You definitely can get a full grip on this one. I mean, you have ample extra room. You can, you know, go down on the blade to have a little extra length. You can choke up on this blade if you really need to. I just think it's a fantastic knife. As for the clip, as you can see, blatantly obvious, I am running a tip down on this one as opposed to tip up on smaller knives. The reason is, and it's the same reason that the military does this, is when you pull this knife out tip up, you're going to be grabbing it right around here. So you're going to have to move up the blade to deploy it. But if you're pulling it out of your pocket in this manner with the tip down, you're already where you need to be to deploy for rapid use. So I did choose to go with the tip down carry on this, similar to the way that on the military, the only option is tip down carry. This one does have right and left, tip up, tip down carry, just like the rest of the line does. I chose to stick with the similarities to the military because it does work well, and there's a reason the military was set up that way, because of the length of the handle. As for durability, just like all Spyderco blades, it's fantastic. I did skip over blade steel. It is the 8CR13 MOV, Chinese steel, just like the rest of the line. The Ambitious, Persistence, Tenacious, and the Resilience. I mean, I have no problems with that blade steel. I think it's fantastic. Again, analogous to the AUS 8. Again, if you're in wet, humid environments, yes, you may have a little bit of rust issues, but again, I'm in a very dry, arid place here in Arizona. Not a problem for me. Not a problem for a lot of places. But again, if you live in those areas and you take care of your knives, you keep them oiled, you keep them, you know, out of the moisture, you know, when they're not being used, you're not going to have that issue. You really just won't. As for price, I think with shipping, I paid a little over 40, probably right around 45 with shipping for this knife. So again, it's a little bit more expensive than you would be getting for the Tenacious, but for the size of knife you're getting, that's a fantastic price for a 9.5-inch knife. Cool factor, there's really nothing snazzy about it other than the fact that it's a cow, big old blade. Look at that, yeah. I love this knife. I do love carrying it. I think it's a wonderful knife and I use it a lot. As for the weight, it is 5.4 ounces. Well, let's see. Spyderco was wrong on their overall length. Let's see if they're wrong on their overall weight. Let's bust out the old scale. Opening. Yeah, I know what it is. I know where I bought the scale. I know what the intent of this stupid scale was. It was inexpensive and it works for measuring food. So let's get that on and zeroed out. Let's drop this in. And according to my scale, which is calibrated, we're just under 5.1 ounces. So again, Spyderco website's a little bit off. So basically, we got 5.07 ounces. So just under 5.1 ounces. And let me tell you, a 5-ounce blade, that's fantastic. I mean, I reviewed another 5-ounce blade on this on the site earlier, and that was the what was it? The Spyderco Route 1. And that only had a 3.5-inch blade. So you get another inch worth of blade on this one for basically the same weight. And not a whole lot more money, about an extra 15 bucks, and you can go from a Route 1 to this. For an extra 15 or so bucks, you can go from a Tenacious to this. So think about it, guys. I think it's a great knife for your money. I definitely highly recommend it. It is, I think, personally, a comparable, if not identical comparison to the Spyderco military. So in about a second or so here, I'm going to roll in a graphic for you showing the Resilience versus the military, and we'll end on that, and maybe I'll throw a little knife porn at the end if I can find some cool pictures. So as always, Semper Fi, until next time.
When I come, give me a piece. I take my